by WebEx. Is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Now, public comment. Vice Chair Pennock, please read the public input statement.
The public input segment of this meeting is provided for the purpose of permitting persons to present specific matters to the board for its consideration and action or referral to the superintendent and his staff. The public input segment of this meeting is not open to presentation of campaign issues by political candidates, matters involving student disciplinary action, pending employee disciplinary matters, or pending litigation. Each individual member of the public is limited to 3 minutes. A designated group representative may have up to 6 minutes.
Thank you. I have one in-person speaker. Ms. Jessica Tillman, please.
Jessica Tillman, first, I want to say thank you for finally doing the right thing and starting the process to remove your mask policy. It should have never been put in place. The definition of medical freedom is the right to choose the care one receives for their own body. Ethics is the well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of freedom, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, and specific virtues. Your own ethics policy states school board policies are designed to create a culture of honesty and integrity that will help the school district meet its goals of providing a safe environment and high-quality education to all the school district students. So you might want to review your own ethics policy. Your mask policy was not created based on honesty or integrity and does not provide a safe environment for all of our children to learn in. Informed consent is a process for getting permission before conducting a health intervention on a person. Masks are a medical device and vaccines are an invasive medical procedure. Your policy does not allow for informed consent, nor does your continued push to vaccinate all students. Neglect is to pay little attention to, fail to heed, disregard the very definition of your behavior to all of these parents and our children all year long. Child abuse is the physical or emotional mistreatment of children. All of the information we have provided you this year, you clearly and willingly abused children. You are holding these children hostage to a mask, pushing them to get an emergency authorized use gene therapy. It is not fully authorized by the FDA. So you need to fix your emails being sent to parents and students to reflect the correct wording. Your emails say it is authorized and it is not okay. Again, stop sending our children information on this vaccine. Allow parents to make their own decisions. You clearly did not learn your lesson with this mask mandate. There are medical choices and families deserve the right to choose. By law, you are allowed to implement emergency policies for 90 days and must revisit. So that is why you took the emergency out of the policy so that you wouldn't have to revisit it every 90 days and would be able to even keep it after the state of emergency ended. Interesting, it was never about the health of our children. Why aren't the schools telling the children to take off their masks leaving schools? They are walking and riding bikes home with nobody around them in a mask. You have crossing guards in 90-degree heat with nobody around them in a mask. It is so sad being near a school around dismissal. Guidelines, even from the CDC, do not wear masks outside. You ignore us all year with no response in hopes we will go away. Well, guess what? You are physically and emotionally harming our children, and we will not go away. You used our children as pawns, and we know you made a shady deal with the teachers union and maybe others. We will not forget this even once this policy is gone. We do not trust you with our children, and we will be here every meeting to ensure you do what is right by our children.
Please wrap up your
It's
comments.
pretty terrible how fast you called for a special meeting to hire an attorney to replace the attorney you hired through a shady vote rescind to replace the superintendent, but dragged your feet all year to unmask our kids, now stating you're going as fast as you can. You all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Thank you. Ms. Muramus, you have comments, please?
Madam Chair, I have 8 comments that were emailed in for this evening's
Thank you.
meeting.
The first comment comes from Shelby Jones from Oviedo. At the board meeting on 5/11, there were a lot of opinions about the virus. I heard a lot of adults that were loud and rude and spoke out of turn. It was entitlement, it was bullying, it was using fear and intimidation to get their way. The research is clear. Spread of COVID-19 happens indoors. Universal masking means everyone wears a mask. It is the way to reduce and has so far successfully prevented spread in schools. But you want to remove masks, the only defense of an unvaccinated population. The CDC says okay for businesses as usual if you are vaccinated. None of my elementary-aged kids will be vaccinated by the summer or even fall. We are months away from the vaccine. Why can't we wait until those of us who choose science and vaccines have a chance to protect our kids? If people feel their kids are struggling so badly with the mask, they can keep them home the first quarter until vaccines can be distributed. I heard a lot about how our kids are suffering with masks, but children are watching us and mirroring our behaviors. I mask because I know it's important to protect those around me, even the ones that aren't concerned about my health or well-being. This is what I model to my children. They mask around their friends playing outdoors or indoors without complaint, even in the heat. They had missed out a lot over the last year, but you know, what they didn't miss out on is life lessons. They learned about being responsible members of society, to make sacrifices for the greater good. Wearing a mask is a small sacrifice that they could save a life or the suffering of another person. Last week, I asked them if they would wear a mask at school even if their friends didn't. Without hesitation, they said yes. Then my 10-year-old daughter said, well, my mask is mostly protecting them. My 10-year-old understands universal masking is more compassionate and more selfless than a room full of adults. So yes, they will mask to protect other children, even though they know others won't to mask to protect them. I'm not saying we need to leave the mask mandate forever. No one wants that. What I am asking, and what I think is fair, is to wait until every school children has had the opportunity to get a vaccine if they want one. When we return to school in the fall, 0% of the children in my kids' elementary school will be vaccinated. How will you control the spread of an extremely contagious virus? Who will stay home with those kids during the inevitable quarantines? How many parents will lose their jobs? We are so close to having a vaccine. Let's wait a little longer to protect our kids. We are almost there. Please use facts and science, not opinions and politics, when you vote on the decision next month. Thank you. The next comment comes from Jessica DeGain from Winter Springs. We are a family with 2 children in Seminole County schools. We are proud to belong to this community, and we are exceptionally pleased with the great quality education our children are receiving. We are in awe of the sense of duty you have shown toward your students and our children. In the middle of an extraordinary and chaotic circumstances such as this pandemic, our children always came first. For that, I thank you. The last year has been extraordinarily tough on everyone. Our family has lost 2 dear members to COVID-19. The virus wrecked their bodies in a matter of days. We are still dealing with the pain and grief. It will be like this for a while. I know we are not the only ones. Our heartbreak, our community's heartbreak, the country's heartbreak is all around, present and palpable. And while I know that this grief and pain will not dissipate quickly, I have hope we will heal and overcome this pandemic together. My teenage daughter, Isabella, has had the hardest time being isolated from friends. She has made great sacrifices so we can keep our family healthy and safe from such a devastating virus. We have seen firsthand what the virus can do to someone in seemingly good health. Please make her sacrifice count. She is very anxious and eager to get back to school face-to-face, seeing friends and enjoying learning while sitting in a classroom. But as her parents, we can only send her to an environment that is safe for her and for the other child, and for our other child, an elementary school boy who is also being outside of classroom for over a year. I know that you are facing extraordinary pressure from parents to get rid of masks in schools, but as a parent, I am asking you to please keep the mask mandate until vaccines are available for every child in the school system, from elementary to high school. I understand vaccines are available to kids 12 and up, but there are many families like us with children still in elementary school for whom vaccines are not yet available. We must be careful. I am asking you to please base your decision on the science and not on the arguments that invalidate the use of masks not based on science. The issue of a pandemic must be seen through a scientific perspective. Saving lives and keeping everyone safe in every setting is our shared duty to each other. The Center for Disease Control has issued a recommendation for masks to continue being used in school settings across America. Even though the vaccine is available for some children, many parents are still hesitant. Removing the mask will only endanger those unvaccinated. I have faith that you will do the right thing. You always have done it. Protect our children and keep this mask mandate on. Sincerely, Jessica DeGain. The next comment comes from Bethany Backs. Dear Madam Chairwoman Allman, Vice Chairman Pennick, Member Calderon, Kraus, and Sanchez, Dr. Griffins, and member of the SCPS community. I am Dr. Bethany Backs, a mother of an SCPS student, educator, and researcher. I am writing to support current and continued SCPS policies regarding COVID-19 school safety protocols throughout the summer and into the 21-22 school year. Considering approximately half of the SCPS student body population is currently ineligible for the vaccine, it is critical that SCPS continues to follow Center for Disease Control Prevention guidelines for masking, distancing, and cleaning. If safety measures are removed too early, the virus will spread, will cause continued and new issues, and lead to serious interruptions in academic progress and staffing across schools. Now that Seminole Connect is no longer in place, there is little ability to quickly adapt to and from quarantine restrictions or allow asymptomatic students and staff to fully participate in schools in a virtual environment for a short period of time. The best way to protect the ongoing and consistent education of our children is to keep current safety guidelines for the foreseeable future and follow CDC guidelines for safe and phased transition within our school. This includes masks, especially for our elementary school children. SCPS must also consider community health indicators, including but not limited to transmission rates, vaccination rates, and positive test rates. Currently, Seminole and surrounding counties fall within the high-risk levels. Seminole is at 100% ICU capacity and has a positive test rate over 5%. In addition, Florida ranks 33rd in 36.68% in full vaccination rates across the United States, and Seminole ranks 22nd, 34.74% across all Florida counties. Florida and our county are lagging behind quite a bit in meeting the national level goals for vaccination and reduced rates of positive cases. Given the comments I have seen during the past several school board meetings, I am very uncomfortable with the current COVID safety measures being removed. Many in attendance have expressed that they will not get the COVID vaccine, nor will their child be vaccinated. I have also heard continued fallacies about the virus, masks, and what is occurring in our schools. These narratives are dangerous and only further support the continuance of safety measures in schools until all have equitable access to the vaccine. Health equity means to be at the forefront of discussion on COVID-19 safety planning and prevention, especially in our county. Systematic health and social disparities have existed in this county since its inception, but persons of color and ethnic minorities at a severe disadvantage. Over the past 14 months, we have seen these inequities exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, as it has disproportionately impacted American Indian, Alaska Native, Black, and Hispanic adults in child populations. Almost half of SCPS students are Hispanic, Black, or multiracial. Research over the past year has shown these students to be at a higher risk for illness and negative outcomes due to the COVID-19, and these communities have less access to the vaccine. All of the comments have been forwarded to the school board in their entirety for their consideration prior to the meeting calling to order. The next public comment is from Jamie Rozas. Dear Seminole County School Board members, you've had to make hard decisions over the last 14 months, decisions that have kept Seminole County Public School students and staff safe, like mandatory masking and social distancing. Thank you for making those difficult decisions. Please do not lift the mandatory mask and social distancing requirements that were in place for the 2021 school year. We urge you to keep the mandatory masking and social distancing requirements in place at the start of the 21-22 school year and until the COVID-19 pandemic is under control. The past 14 months have demonstrated over and over that the highest risk environment for transmitting and catching COVID-19 is an indoor setting, like our children's classroom and shared spaces. The best way to mitigate the risk is through masking and social distancing. And masking works. You've seen it firsthand. Seminole County Public Schools have had minimal disruptions due to COVID-19 because of the safety strategies you've put in place. Don't stop these successful strategies, which are keeping our students safe and in a learning environment that isn't being continually disrupted by quarantines and school closures. CDC guidance maintains that those who aren't fully vaccinated should be masked while indoors. Florida, like the rest of the country, is just now beginning to vaccinate 12 to 15-year-olds, which means the vast majority of children who attend Seminole County Public Schools have not yet had a chance to be vaccinated, let alone fully vaccinated. Children younger than 12 likely won't have an opportunity to be vaccinated until after the start of the school year. It is premature to remove the mandatory masking and social distancing because of this fact alone. 600,000 plus of our fellow Americans have died, and many millions more are now suffering long-term effects of COVID-19 infections. Please continue to protect our students and staff from the risk of either outcome of requiring masking and social distancing in Seminole County Public Schools. We are so grateful that our daughter has attended Seminole County Public Schools for her entire school career. She has had an incredible, passionate, dedicated teachers and encountered friendly and kind support staff and administration. Please continue to keep her, her classmates, and all of the amazing school staff safe during the unprecedented times by requiring masks and social distancing as we go into the 21-22 school year. Jamie and Nicholas Rozas. The next comment comes from Russell Jones of Oviedo. I'm the proud Oviedo resident and also a father of 4 school-aged children. The health and well-being of those children and all the other children are the most important focus in my life as a parent. This pandemic has been extremely difficult on everyone, and now there is a light at the end of the tunnel with vaccines becoming widely available. However, we're not out of this yet. Keeping our children masked for the time being will be greatly beneficial until we have an approved vaccine for children under the age of 12, and we continue to achieve herd immunity through the mass majority of all age groups being vaccinated. Keeping our children and families safe should be the #1 priority for us of SCPS. Let's please keep our children masked until it's safe to remove them. Please remember this is a health concern, not a political concern. Thank you, Russell Jones. The next comment comes from Heather G. from Oviedo. Dear distinguished SCPS school board members and superintendent, I'm the parent of 3 SCPS students. Before having children, I was an elementary school teacher and then administrator in another state, so I know what it is like to work with children in school each day. I am writing today to urge you to keep the universal masking policy in place until all children in your care each day have had a chance to get fully vaccinated. I have sent my children to school each day for the past 9 years, trusting that their health and safety were of the utmost importance to the teachers, school staff, and district employees. I applaud the county schools in navigating this difficult year with multiple learning options that gave parents choice while doing their very best to prevent COVID-19 outbreaks in the school. It was due to this diligence and universal masking policy that we did not have more spread in the schools. This success is proof that with universal masking, schools can be open. My 3 children utilized Connect this year because 2 of my children have underlying health concerns that made COVID-19 more dangerous to them. It has been a trying year, but we have managed to get through it with my children learning and growing in the process thanks to the dedication of their teachers and us as parents. Thankfully, my oldest vulnerable child was able to start the vaccine last week. The amount of stress this relieves for my family cannot be overstated, but we are still very concerned for our youngest 2 children who will not be vaccinated by the beginning of next school year. Since Connect will not be an option next year, and Seminole County Virtual School and Florida Virtual School are not viable options for learning for my children for other reasons, we will be sending them back face-to-face next year. They can't wait to see their friends and enjoy a regular school day again, but we are still very concerned about COVID. While deaths of children are thankfully low among COVID cases, seriously ill and unknown long-term health effects are still very risky for children, especially when they have underlying health conditions like those my children have had to deal with for their short lives. I know that the board and district is under intense and loud pressure from a set of parents to do away with the universal masking. I have watched the school board meetings and have seen the unruly and disordered behavior of these parents. I have heard the false statistics, bad math, inaccurate depictions, and what actually goes on in schools, and their cries to listen to the, quote, real science that the parents have been duped into believing. They claim to be the silent majority, but that is just false. They are just a very loud and angry minority, and some of them don't even have kids currently in SCPS schools. Most parents appreciate how the county has prioritized the health and safety of our children, and we trust that you will continue to do so by realizing that people against the mask have been entranced by partisan politics and have steered and fed their extreme and unfounded beliefs on masking. Peer review and widely accepted science and facts should be the only thing determining health policy. State political officials are trying their hardest to please a segment of the base by tying the hands of our local county officials who are trying to be responsible. But I urge the council to resist the political pressure and focus on the science and facts in making determinations about our school policy that affects student health. A mass choice policy will not be effective at preventing outbreaks. Science and doctors have stated over and over again that masks protect others more than the wearer. The next comment comes from comment number 7 comes from Christina Ernst from Oviedo. Good afternoon, school board members. I am requesting that the board adopt an emergency 90-day policy that would not require the usual process of advertising a policy change before holding a vote to make mask wearing in school optional. This very same process is being considered by Manatee County School Board. See the article below. It has been proven time and time again that children are not affected by COVID and therefore should not be required to wear a mask if they choose. It should be a choice for all, not a requirement. Waiting until midsummer is not allowing parents to decide how they want to begin the 21-22 school year. There are many parents who will be pulling their children from SCPS if masks are not optional, as many private schools and neighboring counties have already confirmed their policy amendments. It is within your power to make this change immediate, and it is imperative that parents be given the most notice so they can plan accordingly for their children. Thank you, Christina Ernst. The last comment comes from Michelle Burrows of Oviedo. I would like to bring awareness to medical choice and informed consent. The wonderful thing about informed consent is that two people with the same information can make two completely different choices, and neither one of them is right or wrong. That is what medical freedom is and should be. This includes masks as well as vaccines. I have never been anti-vaccination. I am, however, anti-forced masking and forced vaccination, especially where they are rushed and/or the risk far outweigh the benefits, especially when the 4 pharmaceutical companies are questionable, to say the least. Pfizer has $4.7 billion in fines for false claims, drugs, and medical equipment safety violations, corrupt practices, and bribery. Moderna has never brought a vaccine to market despite 9+ vaccine candidates that never made it through phase 3 critical trials. AstraZeneca has been suspended by more than 24 European countries due to lethal adverse reactions, including blood clots in the brain. Johnson & Johnson has been named in thousands of lawsuits for toxic products, including drugs, shampoo, medical equipment, and let's not forget the asbestos-tainted baby powder. There are benefits and risks to every medical procedure. Doing the right thing means you've weighed the risk and benefits for yourself and are making an informed decision. The only wrong decision, in my opinion, is made purely out of fear, social pressure, or emotional stimulation. If you have reached your decision and are comfortable with it, great. What's right for one person may be wrong for another. We're all doing the best we can with the information we hopefully have spent time digging into. Let this be a gentle reminder for all, including parents, teachers, and the school board, to please respect each other and be mindful of the message we put out there. Is everyone wrong because they believe differently than you? They very likely have just as strong of a reason for their choice as you do for yours. You're okay in my book, and I respect your decision even if it differs from mine. You're not okay in my book when you start being rude to others or bullying others because they made a decision that was the best for them. As we wind down the school year, I am very disappointed in what has been dubbed pro-maskers and their stance that the unmasked should stay home. I am also disappointed in SCPS for being extremely one-sided, ignoring articles, science, as well as a lack of science and the wishes of all of the parents. Also for forcing vaccine information down minors' throats via teachers having conversations about it in their classrooms, which is highly unprofessional, as well as sending emails to the children about vaccine clinics. Stop this immediately. I want to thank Ms. Calderon for responding to our emails with thought-out, personalized responses and acknowledging a likely end to all of this. However, we have a hard time trusting that, and for Ms. Allman and for automatic away messages sort of reply, quite frankly, is the most dismissive attitude one can have. Make mask a choice and let's all start to respect each other's medical freedom again. Let kids be kids. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. I have one more that came up. Ms. Leslie Kirschenbaum. Either one.
Hi, guys. My name is Leslie Kirschenbaum. I live in Seminole County. Hi. Thank you guys very much for hearing us all, and I apologize for what happened last week. We were just very emotional, and I just want to say that I'm really sorry for what you guys had to endure. Regardless of anything, it was still unprofessional, but comments are coming in. I just heard saying wait a little longer. So while all the theme parks here in Florida, shopping stores, and pretty much all Florida businesses are mask choice, people still want to mask our children. Is that what I'm hearing right now? Do you guys hear that? We're still talking about vaccinating our children, which data and science show the kids are the ones who are least affected by this virus. Judging from the panel, it seems we're still all divided. While half of you wear a mask, half of you don't. I've seen some videos showing that people are at UCF congratulating graduates mask-free, but you're coming back to your office around school and children where the kids will still be forced. That's a little hypocritical, guys. I'm sorry to say. Seminole County has come under a lot of heat these last few weeks, and we're still making headlines. There are counties right now that have been served lawsuits over these mask mandates, despite Florida Department of Education giving their recommendation of being mask choice. Are kids dying of COVID that people are now thinking that life can't get back to normal without the kids being vaccinated now? Where did this new idea come from? Now we're coming after the kids yet again and saying that they can't have mask choice unless they're vaccinated. I know none of my kids are going to get the vaccine, so I don't know how that's going to work. The country is clearly divided. We have parents pulling kids out of public schools for the simple fact that their kid is being forced to wear a mask, while the private school across the street is giving mask choice. I'm hoping all of the emails that have been sent these last weeks have been informative as to how many parents are feeling right now. And from the sound of it, seems you guys are listening to us, some of you, and we really appreciate it. Mask choice for coming school year. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That concludes public input. So new business, a selection of Executive Director of Legal Services, School Board Attorney. So as we move forward with the selection of the next school board attorney, I would like to provide a review of that format that we will follow during our deliberations. We will open with individual board member comments, which will be conducted in roll call order, and that would be Member Sanchez, Member Kraus, Vice Chair Pennock, Member Calderon, and then myself. At the conclusion of the initial board member comments, I'll ask for any follow-up comments from board members. I will open the floor for nominations and seconds for attorney recommendations. Once all nominations and seconds are presented, I will close the floor for nominations. If only one candidate is nominated, I will ask for a verbal vote. And if more than one candidate is nominated, I will open the floor for discussion. Once discussion has concluded, I will ask the school board clerk to conduct a roll call vote and announce the name of the nominee who received the majority vote. The candidate with the majority vote will be selected as the next school board attorney pending contract negotiations. The school board attorney selection will be followed by an action item requesting authorization for the chairman to begin negotiating the contract with the next school board attorney. Any questions? Okay. I will open the floor for nominations and seconds. Member Kraus? Oh, yes.
Is discussion first or motions first?
I need to do a motion to start. Okay. Okay, just for the, okay.
Just discussion.
Okay, thank you.
So my nomination is for Mr. Brian Williams.
Do we want to discuss at the same time, or we're just opening the floor first and then discussing?
Oh, okay.
So if I want to nominate 3 or 4 people, I can do that at this given point, or just do one at a time? Is that how I do it?
So right now, we're going to go in roll call order for the school board members to discuss all of the candidates that they want to discuss. And then once everyone has had an opportunity, then the chairman will open the floor for nominations.
Okay. All right. So, is it okay? All
Yes,
right, thank
please,
you.
Member Sanchez.
So first, I'd like to say that we interviewed 8 fabulous attorneys that all had some unique qualities, and we had, or at least I know, I took the time to interview each of them, asked a lot of personal questions about their resumes and information about themselves. So the first one, John Palmerini, did I say that right? He's worked in Orange County District for quite some time. He seems to know the ADA laws quite well. He wants parents to have a voice in the process. I felt he had great communication skills, very professional, has developed a great legal team, and is effective working with the superintendent and others where he is. Another one that I felt was Brian Williams. He impressed me with the work chart that he also passed out. Specializes in the FERPA, HIPAA, ADA, knows all the lingo that, of course, all of them do, in the sunshine laws. I felt that he did a great job with me in the interview process. Also, Asima Blake, or Blog? Blake? Very informative with boundaries and perimeters, and very proactive rather than reactive, and communicates really well. And then my last one was Carlene Cole-Palmer. I really was impressed with her bridge building and how she was going to continue to build strong teams and leadership qualities. And it's all about working as a team player. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Kraus?
Thank you. I rated my top 3 choices, having gone through all of them. Mr. Williams is a current school district attorney, was a member of the pandemic team. He facilitated interlocal agreements in his past. He has staff attorney experience. He expressed to me that his wife was very intent on his children attending public school, and in her review, Seminole County was tops, and so that was a priority for him. He is a GWU graduate. I happen to have 2 daughters that graduated from George Washington. His personality with interactions and his priority of relationship building. He wants the staff all trained in different abilities based on caseload. I thought that was a good approach. He also emphasized the need for clear roles within the organizations and responsibilities, and I felt that his personality meshed with our team. That was the strong point. My second candidate, do you want me to go ahead and discuss that, was Jody Ann Livingstone, who is a current sitting judge. She also wanted cross-functional team leadership. Relationships were paramount for her. She's obviously very knowledgeable. Her approach is securing all the data, reviewing as a team, taking out any emotions, and making the best decisions for our district, which I felt was very strong. She has strong evidentiary experience, including teacher disciplinary matters, family IEPs, and so forth, as well. Supervisory experience, she managed 4 attorneys. She has experience with DOA and IEPs, as well as familiarity with the current legislation. Her temperament and personality, I think, would be also a good fit for this district. And then my third candidate was also Carlene. And I've known her from leadership class, so I did know a little bit about her, and her strengths are her openness, her dedication to kids all her life pretty much, and doesn't have possibly as strong school familiarity, but I think is certainly a self-starter and also would be a great fit in our organization.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock.
So I took my, originally when we submitted resumes for consideration, I had submitted 3. And after the interviews, I whittled it down to 2. I felt my top choice was John Palmerini. His communication style was clearly and effectively delivered in both written and verbal style. There was not a lot left on the table after looking at his resume. However, he covered more in his interview with me that I didn't expect and was happy to hear. One of the things that we talked about was he is, he's sought out as an expert and a resource throughout the state, and that's something that we're also known for in Seminole County. We're a thought leader when it comes to education delivery methods, or the physics bus, or the different types of curriculum that we're doing, the sunshine, everything. We are seen as that, and I felt like he would be a good fit. I was very impressed with the lecture list that he provided to us. Touched on a lot of the topics that we've discussed in our work sessions here at the dais, that we've addressed, that we feel like we need to have someone strong in those areas. A very impressive arbitration and litigation experience. We talked a lot about ESE, Tallahassee, and home rule policy making roles, and I just liked how he answered it. I felt he was very strong in that, and I think that we need someone very strong in this role as we move into the next chapter. We had a lot of, like Ms. Sanchez said, we had 8 really great candidates that met the minimum qualifications, but I really looked at it from the point of I want someone who doesn't just meet minimum requirements but exceeds, and he checked a lot of boxes. He far exceeded the expectations that were listed in the job description that I felt I was looking for as a school board member, as a parent, as a community member. I thoroughly enjoyed Brian Williams. He provided a lot of information. I had a concern just with his delivery of communication wasn't as effective, and it just gave me a bit of pause to put him into the first place seat. So those were my top 2 candidates and responses.
Thank you. Member Calderon.
Well, I too was very impressed with the individuals that we interviewed. Many of them I would probably hire for my own personal attorney. And one of the candidates I felt was one of the most articulate human beings I've ever met in my life. But I too, like Mrs. Pennick, I have top 2 candidates, and I just thought I'd share some of the information that I garnered in addition to just the interview itself. I also went on the legal pages and looked at their backgrounds and their certifications and all the other things, so I'll share that. I also called both of these candidates a school board member and their superintendent, so I'd like to share the input from them as well. The first candidate would be Mr. Brian Williams. Dr. Atkins, the superintendent, said that he has done an exceptional job there in a very difficult and changing situation. There weren't attorneys there. He filled in, he created a team, got them to meld together, and recruited some great people and had them working as a team. The reason Dr. Atkins hired him initially was because of his varied background of both school board experience and private practice experience, and obviously being in Miami-Dade, the largest school district, and then Lee County, also larger than us. They probably see the same exact issues that we are seeing, but on a larger scale. One thing that was shared with me that didn't really come out in my personal interview was that they said he was a real bulldog and a real fighter. And when I interviewed him, he seemed very easygoing, kind of a team player, family-orientated, and work like that. He works well with all of the outside legal firms that he works with. He also has a track record of not settling and really fighting for what's best for the district, and the superintendent said he knew he personally saved a lot of money for the district in holding firm in his stances with a lot of legal issues and fighting for the district. He is very welcoming, family man. The bar sections that he's a member of is city, county, local government, labor, employment, relations, real estate, property, and trust. He's in the 20th Circuit. He does not have the board certification as my other candidate, John Palmarini, does. But in looking at the resume and inquiring with other attorneys in town, to be able to reach that level, you have to have the 5 years of continuous service in the one location, and then have all your CEs and then present before the judge. And it just seems like, his positions were so varied that he probably didn't do it from that one standpoint. It was interesting when I talked to their school board chair, they have their legal department different than we have our legal department structured. And so that was interesting. I like how we have it. And I like how we changed our job description to have this person report to the board. So, I think been on all sides of it and knows how to navigate through all of that, especially with the public relations. I like the handouts that he shared with us, and I'll come back to that. And then I was very impressed with John Palmarini. As I stated, he is board certified in both education and labor employment law, and his sections that he has is admin law, labor, and employment. He has a track record of being with Orange County Public Schools for 11 years. I talked to his last boss and also a school board member there, and they had nothing but excellent comments to say about him. They felt he's very strong in labor and employment law. He can be very headstrong on issues, and he was a good litigator and very intelligent, and I think that came out clearly in his exceptional resume that he presented to us. And he is a good communicator. He knows how to interview. Obviously, he had interviewed prior for the Orange County position, but was not hired. Another person was. But he coordinates with their outside counsels in Orange County, and when I asked him who they were, many of them were a lot of the same firms that we use. So as far as a transition, I think it would be more seamless. And when I asked what was he looking for to come here, and he said he wanted to be his own guy, and I can see that in him. I'm leaning towards somebody that, even though I think both of these are excellent attorneys, I think both of them have excellent school board experience. And we had one other candidate that I thought was phenomenal with excellent school board experience. And every time I talk to her, I'm more and more impressed. But I think at the level of what we're looking for in this department, these two individuals, for me, rose to the top. But at the end of the day, I think we have to look at who we feel would fit in best with our Seminole County Public Schools culture, and bring a team together, because I think we're probably going to have to hire more team members in that organization, and we do have somebody who has experience in doing that. So that concludes my comments, but
Thank
I
you.
can add more.
So I, too, enjoyed all of the candidates, and they gave very good answers. I asked questions I wanted to know about how they handle complex legal issues, and I wanted them to focus on the complexity and the process, not the issue. I asked about negotiation process, if they had ever made mistakes on the job or had any regrets, and most of them really wanted to be more empathetic, you know, and not so black and white, and really listen to what the other person was saying. I asked some questions about making a decision strategically versus going with your gut, and I felt like I got good answers on that as well from all of the candidates. They all appeared to be very ethical, and they were very clear that they would not cross any lines that they shouldn't. When I asked them about their greatest triumphs of their careers, they all really got really filled up with emotion, and each had a different story to tell, but they were very proud of the work that they had done, and I was impressed by that. I asked them about a problem in the world that they would like to address, and they talked about things like hunger and world peace and kindness. And I asked them to describe themselves in 3 words, and most of them could do that just like this, which I just wanted to get a little insight into the person that they were. And when I asked them about a leader that they looked up to and why, they picked their mom, their spouse, a teacher, someone they had worked with. No one named some big famous person in the world, and I thought that told me they were more grounded. My number 1 candidate was Jody Ann Livingstone. I felt like she had really done her homework on Seminole County Public Schools. She was very comfortable. She wasn't nervous. She asked me what we were looking for and why I enjoyed working here, and I said, of course, for the people that we have. She was a very clear, concise communicator. Some of the candidates spoke for 15 minutes on my first question, and I felt like it didn't give me an opportunity to get to know them in depth in the time that we had to interview them. I liked that she had a variety of experience, medical and finance background. She said, what do I need to learn? I always ask myself, what do I need to learn to best serve someone else? And definitely a lifelong learner, very easygoing, very assertive also. I think she's a very good fit. I felt like she came from a flat organization and she came from corporations, which I thought made her a good fit as well. And she was very, very excited to be able to bring her children who are very young into our school system. She's, you know, why would you not want to do that? And I think also fresh eyes and insight. So that's I really liked her a lot. I would say second, John Palmarini. His 3 words to describe himself were blunt, knowledgeable, and caring. You described everything about him, so I won't repeat it, but those would be my 2 candidates. So that concludes my comments. And if anyone have any follow-up comments or questions? Okay. I will open the floor for nominations and seconds for attorney recommendations.
I would like to nominate John Palmarini.
I will second.
I would like to nominate Brian Williams.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Any discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
All right, in roll call order, board members, please let me know either John Palmarini or Brian Williams as your choice for Executive Director of Legal Services. Member Sanchez.
John Palmarini.
Member Krause.
Mr. Brian Williams.
Vice Chair Pennick.
John Palmarini.
Member Calderon.
Brian Williams.
Chairman Allman.
John Palmarini.
By a 3-2 vote, the school board has selected John Palmarini as the next Executive Director of Legal Services School Board Attorney.
Thank you. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation, please?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County authorize the school board chairman to negotiate an employment contract with the newly elected Executive Director of Legal Services, School Board Attorney.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Dr. Griffin, do you have anything else?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.